In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn your tapestry into a cushion. What you need here is your piece of tapestry that's been blocked or straightened, and then what I'm going to do is make it up using piping, tassels and a piece of backing fabric. So here I'm using our velvet piping, and our velvet piping is a filled piping, which means when you start your stitching, what you want to do is cut away a little bit of the inner cord before you begin. That way you'll get a neater overlap. If you're using our striped or plaited pipings, then you won't do this stage as the whole thing is plaited. Instead, you'll just go straight on to the bit where we start pinning them together. So once I've slightly flattened the end, you can see here now I'm going in and I'm going to start from the middle at the bottom of the cushion, and I'm pinning in the piping directly into the canvas. I'm working on the front of the canvas and I'm pinning the piping to the canvas so that the piping is jutting up directly against where your stitched area begins. When you get to your corner, you'll want to bring your tassel in. And so as you pin, you're going to also pin your tassel in place so that when you stitch round, the tassel is secured. So I'm going to keep going like this and getting it pinned the entire way round with the tassels. When you get to the bit where they join, you're going to again want to cut back your piping and remove some of the inner. This is again to try and make yourself have as smooth a connection as possible. But if you have the plaited pipings, then you won't do this step. So once you've got it flattened enough, then pull it across and pin it down. And then we're going to move on to our sewing machine and stitching the whole thing together. With the sewing machine, I'm going to be using this piping foot. And if you've got one of these, they're quite a standard one that comes with most sewing machines, then you'll find it much easier. Here I'm just replacing the foot on my sewing machine. And then I will start stitching the tapestry in place. The piping foot allows you to get really close to the edge. Don't worry if you slightly stitch over the top of your canvas. The main thing you want to avoid is stitching too far away from it, so that when you finish your cushion and pull it all out, you end up with white bits of canvas. Now the more you do this, the better you get at it. So your first cushion you might find that you stitch too far away, in which case you can come in and just add another line of stitching. It can be a particular fiddle when you get to the corners. Sometimes it helps to add a little snip into the end of the piping just to make it easier to stitch that corner. So you snip round the hem of the piping. But just take your time and go really slowly on the machine and you'll be able to get it all in place. So then you're just going to keep going round, stitching the entire cushion together. You might find as you get further round that you end up having a bit more piping than what you'd pinned down, as you see I've got here. Don't worry, just repin as you go, and at the end you'll be able to trim back down when you connect up the two ends of the piping. So as I said, you see when you get to this stage here, you might find your piping's got a little bit longer than you expected since you've actually stitched it. So as you can see, I'm going to cut down a little bit more here. And then you have to force your foot and sewing machine to go across the piping at the join. So once you're all fixed together, then you can trim down the excess canvas. And you can be quite aggressive with this trim down. You don't need to have a lot left there. You just need enough so that it shouldn't have any risk of unraveling. I'm not trimming off the ends of the tassels because I like to use those to potentially pull the tassels in tighter. So now you have the front part of your cushion, and what we need to move on to is getting your backing fabric. And in this video I'm going to show you how to make the backing fabric using a fold rather than a zip, because that's the way that I make up all my cushions. So I'm measuring the size of the back of the cushion again. What I have here is a larger piece of wool. First, I'm just measuring a line across the top here of this fabric. And then that's in order to get myself to a strip of fabric that's roughly the same height as I want my cushion to be. So say my cushion is 40 by 40 centimeters. What I want to do now is trim down my backing fabric so that its width is 40 centimeters. It's still much longer than 40 centimeters, but we need the extra length. So don't cut it down in both directions, just one direction. Now, how wide you cut these sheets depends on how wide an overlap you want to have. So here I'm cutting them to be 30 centimetre wide, 30 by 40 centimetres on this piece. And this is because I'm going to have a fold and an overlap, and so I need my two pieces of the back to have enough width in them to be able to overlap each other with a fold. So that's my inner piece, and then with my outer piece I will have a fold going across it, and what I want to now do is take the combination of the two pieces to be 40 centimetres wide, and that's to get me to my 40 by 40 backing piece. So you see I've folded the second one across. Do remember to add a bit of excess here. So my cushion is 40 by 40 centimetres, but I'm probably going to make this backing piece 42 by 42. So I'm putting my normal foot back on my sewing machine again. And first, even though this is a wool, for good practice, I'm just going to hem the edge of this backing piece. And so I'm just using a zigzag stitch the whole way along, and that's just going to make sure that the inside one doesn't fray, because I'm not having a fold on that. So here I'm just going to quickly stitch the whole way along the edge in a zigzag. Now the other half of my fabric that will make up my backing piece, all I've done is I've folded over the end of it. And this is so that I don't have a raw edge on the outside of my cushion. So I'm going to go down, and now I'm just going to zigzag down the side of this to make sure that's held flat. So I just have this slightly different treatment on the two parts of my backing fabric. One side of it just has a simple zigzag just to prevent any fraying, and that's the part that will be hidden. And then on the outer piece, I am hemming over the end so that I have no visible edges on the back of the cushion. As I said, this is a wool, and so it's not particularly inclined to fray. However, for safety, I'm just going round and stitching the whole way around the edge in a zigzag. So once I've finished, I'm then going to lay on top of each other the two pieces of fabric in order to stitch together my backing piece. And now I want to recheck the length of this piece. So remember, I want to make this to be around 42 by 42. So I've got my two sheets and I'm just checking how to align them, and then I'm pinning the two together. As you can see, they're being pinned together with a fold, and then I'm going to go down and just stitch them together. And I only here need to use a straight stitch and just stitch them where the two pieces join together. I don't need to go the whole way round. I'm just repeating that on the other side. So once that's done on both sides, then what I have is a stitched together piece of backing fabric with the fold in it. So I'm going to get my front section of my tapestry again and my backing fabric. And remember, place the outside parts of the cushion inside here as we stitch. So you see here what you're looking at is the inside edge of my folded backing piece. I'm going to lay these on top of each other, and then I'm going to pin them together. So you can't see exactly where you're pinning, so you'll have to use your feelings to feel that you're pinning it directly against the piping. You want to be as close to the piping as you can. And you'll go the whole way around this piece and pin it all together. Now once that's done, you're going to go in and you're going to stitch it all together, and this is a fiddly bit, and you're putting your sewing machine through quite a lot of fabric, so have a bit of patience. As you stitch, you just want to be as close as possible to the piping. If you do end up being a little bit further away in certain sections, you can always come back in and overstitch. Or don't ever think you can't unpick, you can always unpick. So we're going to continue round the whole way, stitching it all together now. So once you get to the end, all you need to do now is turn out your cushion. You might find you want to give it an iron out the hems, but usually I find I don't need to. Do remember that the more you do things like this, the better you'll get. And if you're really stuck, there's lots of wonderful professionals out there who can help you to do this process. So there you go. That's your cushion making up 101.